Welcome to the SVG-TV News for today, Wednesday, May 6th. I am Khalil Cato with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph E. Gonsalves and Chief Medical Officer Dr. Simone Keyser-Beach are now part of a CARICOM subcommittee to address the issue of returning nationals, including the repatriation of cruise ship workers to member countries. Speaking with NBC Radio today, Prime Minister Gonsalves said at a meeting held yesterday, many important decisions were taken.
This body is going to address the immediate issues that we are having with the return of nationals and to make sure that there are quote-unquote uniform positions as far as practicable in all the circumstances. I also want to announce that the Prime Minister of St. Lucia has been put as chair of a body in which we are also involved to see if we can work together to have a cruise commission so that beyond the immediate issues to have a common policy as far as practicable in relation to the cruise ships.
The Prime Minister said that the subcommittee of CARICOM will work along with the respective cruise lines to bring home the sailors and to ensure that member countries are not taken advantage of, while at the same time protecting the rights of these sailors.
Make sure that the people of the Caribbean benefit appropriately. Remember, the Caribbean is the only region in the world that I know that you can sail around the whole year, and it is very near to the source markets. You might have somewhere else where you can sail all around the world, but it's far from the source markets. You know, the Caribbean go down to Mexico, and there's always been the debate as to whether we are getting as much as we should be getting. Well, this is not any attempt to squeeze anybody, especially when the cruise ships and the airlines are having real problems, but to make sure that we have an efficacious partnership in which everybody benefits appropriately, and very critically to make sure that the persons who work on the cruise ships, that their rights are protected.
Dr. Gonsalves assured the sailors and their families that the government's interest is to have them home in the safest and swiftest possible way. Meanwhile, 23 Vicentia nationals are expected to arrive home this evening from the British Virgin Islands. On radio today, Prime Minister Gonsalves said the individuals have chartered their own flight and will be quarantined under the protocols established by the Ministry of Health.
23 persons from the BVI, thankfully, are returning. And in their returning, they're returning on a charter at their own expense. I think one Caribbean is bringing them. "17 of them, if I recall the number correctly, are approved to go into either their private homes or accommodation which they have rented specifically for the 14 days quarantine. And this is a quarantine which they have to undergo. They're coming in by air straight away. But they're also coming, each of them, with a medical health certificate from the medical.
I would like to apologize for the quality of that audio clip due to a technical issue. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister said that all of the returning nationals from the BVI will be doing so with a medical health certificate from the British Virgin Island health authorities, and that local health authorities will conduct rapid tests and other investigations.
Today, when they come, there's a certification and everything concerning that no symptoms, they have no contact with anybody with COVID, and they give a proper appraisal case by case. I just want to make this point. And then they had sent the contacts which they had. The number for us was supposed to be 30. Then it went down to 19, now it's at 23. Where they're going to stay? In quarantine. So that our health authorities checked where they're going to stay, so it's appropriate.
The Prime Minister added that the public quarantine is available for those who do not have proper accommodations for quarantine. In reference to the Vincentian students who have expressed interest in returning home, the Prime Minister said he would like to meet their request. At the moment, it is too costly to do so, noting it will cost the government more than 200,000 EC dollars per flight with regional carrier Liat. He said that there are students in Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, Barbados, and even Cuba wanting to return home, which will carry the cost up to $1 million EC dollars.
The 70 seaters for Liat, because of the distance they're traveling, can take 56 passengers maximum, each of them carrying 50 bucks. So if we can get ours out of Trinidad, you see what it adds, and out of Barbados. So you're looking at a number which could mushroom to certainly close to $750,000.
The Prime Minister said that while some students are willing to pay for their airfare, there are others who are not in a position to do so.
That the students said that their parents will pay. Well, I told her I'd like to hear that the case individually, because I am sure that some parents will be able to pay the money. But I will wager, I will guess, that though some can pay some, they can't pay all that. And that there are others who can't pay anything at all. And then I say, that's when you put the 72 together, you're talking about nearly $300,000, because they're the 16. Then you have to get those out of Cuba. Certainly $250,000 for that out of Jamaica, EC. In number from Cuba, which will be more.
PM Gonzalez further stated that while some students are comfortable where they are, there are others who have raised security concerns.
That there's no need for me to bring them back. I spoke to a couple of the students, female students especially, who said that, oh, while the situation with the food and so on, though it's difficult, they can survive that, what they're worried about the security. And I wanted the students to be secure, and especially the women. So brought them home. But clearly, if we pay to bring home, if we pay $75,000 US, $200,000 to bring home those from Jamaica, there'll be a larger number for those from Cuba.
Opposition Member of Parliament for the Southern Grenadines and spokesperson for education, Terence Oliver, claims that the Ministry of Education was caught unprepared to deal with the situation of the COVID-19 pandemic and e-learning. Speaking on the NDP's New Times radio program yesterday, Oliver said that if teachers were taught from an early stage how to use technology in the teaching process, then the current challenges they are facing with the e-learning process would not exist.
We have spoken about setting up portals so that even a teacher can stay in one. A teacher could have been in a classroom anywhere in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and teaching children where at their home, if we had the right things in place. Okay? Clearly, I am not saying that the ministry hasn't done anything, but what I'm saying is that they have not done enough. That is why we are now scrambling to try to implement e-learning and to try to get teachers to adhere to the new technology.
The opposition MP says parents have been complaining to him that they are unable to buy a device and internet service for their children to be engaged in e-learning.
You heard anything from the Ministry of Education as it relates to schooling? When is school going to happen, open? What is going to happen after this long layoff? What should be happening now? And what is going on? We haven't heard anything. And the public out there, the people out there, some teachers are confused, parents confused, children confused, want to know what is happening. There are some schools who have taken the initiative in order to reach their students, especially those who are going for exams. And they set up what they had to set up in order to get things going. But generally, we are not prepared in order to deal with what is happening right now.
Oliver said that the Ministry of Education needs to take a concrete decision as soon as possible with regards to schools which have been closed for over a month now.
Response is woefully lacking. It is woefully lacking in responding to the problems that now come to the front because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I could ask the question, what is the total population in our primary and secondary schools? How many of those out of those population have laptop devices? How many of them have internet? How many of these children have electricity? So what is the ministry responding to? Do they have all this information in order to respond as to what is happening? How many of the teachers are trained in the use of the technology? As a matter of fact, how many teachers have devised themselves in order to cater?
In an interview with SVG-TV News yesterday, President of the SVG Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, said he doesn't believe it will be wise for the ministry to reopen schools anytime soon, whether full-time or on a shift basis, as the COVID-19 pandemic is still fluid. The nation will be given a situation report on COVID-19 at a press conference tomorrow, hosted by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment. The conference will be held at the NIS conference room starting at 10 in the morning. While journalists will be limited to a maximum of 3 questions each, a news release from the Ministry of Health said that they and members of the public are invited to send additional questions for written answers to the email address mohesvg@gmail.com. That's mohesvg@gmail.com. Officers within the Southwestern Division of the RSVG Police Force are currently investigating the occurrence of 2 armed robberies at the Layu playing field on March 10th and May 2nd. Police say that both incidents bear the same modus operandi by the assailants. According to reports, on March 10th, a male resident of Richland Park was robbed of one Samsung Galaxy S10 after communicating with a female who claimed that she was living in Layu. The police say the complainant explained that he had made plans with the female to meet at the playing field in the Central Leeward community, and on his arrival, he was robbed by 2 armed masked men at gunpoint. Further, on May 2nd, 2 male residents of Camden Park were also robbed at gunpoint of their property valued at over $1,100 EC dollars by an unknown assailant. The complainants reported that prior to being robbed, they made plans with a female who identified herself as Alicia to meet at the Layu playing field, where they were eventually robbed. The general public is asked to take note of these occurrences and not to be lured into a situation of similar nature. Anyone with information that will aid in the investigations, the arrest and prosecution of the offenders are being asked to contact the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of crime at 456-1339 or the officer in charge of the Southwestern Division at 458-7329 or any police officer or station that they are comfortable with. Police say that all information will be treated confidentially. The police are also investigating the circumstances surrounding a motor vehicle accident in the Villa area last evening, which left 1 person hospitalized. According to reports, at around 8:15 p.m., a silver pickup owned by Thorn Electrical Services and driven by Tristan Brown of Fairhall was traveling on the Villa Public Road when it lost control and hit a metal fence of a residential dwelling in the area. 34-year-old Kimron Simon of Southwood, who was a passenger on the pickup, sustained injuries and was rushed to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, where he's said to be in stable condition. Superintendent of Police Joel James is appealing to motorists and commuters to give firefighters their due respect and cooperate with them in their line of duty. Superintendent James said firefighters face many challenges going to a scene of a fire and that they deserve the same level of respect and cooperation that is given to the ambulance service.
I want to send a message to the motorists. The responding vehicles from the fire department, they have been challenged on numerous occasions. When they are responding to a fire, the motorists will not give way to the fire appliance. They will not give way. Some of them will drive very slow in front of the appliance. Some of them would wait until they reach narrow areas to pull off. And with the oncoming traffic, the trucks are unable to proceed. I would like you to cooperate. Please cooperate. Just like how you are cooperating with the ambulance when they are proceeding to or from the hospital, I would like the general public to do likewise when they hear the siren of the fire appliances going to or from a fire scene. Please, I am begging you to cooperate.
The fire chief said the practice of parking on narrow streets often poses a serious problem for firefighters and appealed to motorists to take this into consideration.
So there are persons who are parking their vehicles on narrow streets, very narrow streets, and when the fire appliance is proceeding to a fire, they have, especially in the night, there is an incident which took place in Mespo some time ago, and one of our fire appliances waited for 45 minutes before the persons who were parked on that road came to remove their vehicle. 45 long minutes. So we are asking you to park your vehicles, especially at nights, in an area with more space, so that you would leave enough space on your left or on your right for a truck to pass, which would include our fire truck.